DW Africa Link.
They heal, they comfort, and give hope. Without them, hospitals are just buildings. Nurses bring care to life. So when they strike, it's not just silence in the corridors, it's delayed healing, overwhelmed hospitals, and lives hanging in the balance. A gentle reminder that without nurses, care itself is on life support. And that's why it's very welcome news in Nigeria that nurses have ended their one-week strike after reaching a deal with the government. So what was the impact of the strike on the health sector?
We weren't happy with the strike by the nurses. We suffered a lot, especially those of us admitted to hospitals. When emergencies happened, no one was there to help. People walk around looking for a nurse or doctor to attend to them. Some patients died, others were left in critical condition. This shouldn't happen. Nurses and other health workers shouldn't be going on strike. Now that they've resumed, they are attending to us properly again. We are calling on the government to fulfill its promises, such as increasing the budget for healthcare and improving working conditions for health workers, so this doesn't happen again. The health sector needs to be fixed.
What deal has now been reached to end the strike, and how sustainable is it?
Basic things that they said they are going to do, of course, they have a timeline of four weeks, which we believe within these 4 weeks, things should be done. And failure to achieve this issue, definitely we're still going to go back on strike. It's not that we are not compassionate. We are compassionate people. We have compassion. We take care of our patients, and that's what we know how to do best. But in a situation where our patients is being taken for granted, we have come to a level that we need to resist that.
That's what's coming up. I am Eddy Micah Jr., and you are welcome to Africa Link, the podcast connecting you to the stories that matter.
Africa Link, every weekday here on DW.
Nigeria's nurses just ended a nationwide strike that shook the healthcare system. The week-long strike, dubbed Warning Strike, led by the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, called for better pay, safer working conditions, more staff, and urgent attention to nurses' welfare. Hospitals were forced to shut down or operate with severely limited services, leaving patients, especially those in emergencies, struggling to access care. It was a wake-up call for a system already stretched thin and underfunded. For more on this, let's bring in Joe Akpi, Chairman, National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives with the National Hospital Chapter. Also joining us is my colleague Abiodun Jamiu, DW correspondent in Nigeria. Hello there. Welcome to Africa Link. Joseph, I'm going to start with you. Look, healthcare workers go on strike quite often in Nigeria. Can you tell us more about what led to the latest nurses' strike and how different it was from previous strikes?
Actually, the basic thing that led to this particular strike, it's nothing by the long-time agitation by nurses in Nigeria, and the government seems to give deaf ear to our plight. For over 40 years ago, nurses have never done tools. And it would interest you to know that the strikes that health workers used to go and nurses join is only strikes that have been organized by Nigerian Labour Congress, where nurses are also an affiliate to it. But this is the first time that nurses will down tools. That does not mean that for the past 40 years, we have not been having issues. We have issues that have been presented to government, and government don't seem to look at them. So, but this time around, nurses all over this country decided to down tools for these particular issues. Number one, the creation of Department of Nursing in the Federal Ministry of Health is a long-time issue that we have been agitating, that the ministry should have a Department of Nursing. nurses constitute over 60% of healthcare personnel in the country, in every setup, but we are being marginalized. And there are some other issues like the gazetting of an approved establishment status for nurses as far back as 2016 in National Council of Establishment meeting in Mina, which was approved, but it has not been gazetted. And other issues like reviewing of our allowances. Those are some of the basic things that we have been agitating for long time silently, but government doesn't seem to listen. So we have to really go down this line.
So basically, the strike lasted less than a week, right? Because nurses apparently reached a deal with the government. What deal was reached with the government?
Yeah, the deal that was reached with government, when we want to talk about the allowances, they are going to sit back again to look at this issue that has to do with the allowances. So the review of the allowances from Wednesday, they will continue sitting. Then 4 weeks was given for the gazetting of this National Council of Establishment approved scheme of service that was done in Mina. They were given 4 weeks to look into it and see how it can be fixed. And also 2 weeks has been given to the kind of implementing the court judgment that was in favor of NAM as far back as 2012 by the arbitration panel. And then we'll also have the instruction given to Nursing and Midwifery Council to work on the pool that has to do with the employment of intern nurses. Because as it is now, employment of intern nurses is based on the mercies of the hospitals. But we are agitating, let there be a pool where every graduate of nursing will be key into that pool, and they will now be picked from that pool and be posted to all federal hospitals to do their internship without any hassle, without having any godfatherism and all that. Because as I'm talking to you now, we have so many nurses that are graduate nurses that have not done their internship, all because they have not been employed by the hospitals.
Right. So none of these is something that can be done with a snap of the finger, right? It'll probably take some time. So I guess my question is, how confident are you that the government is serious about, dealing with these issues?
We know that government is known for not obeying MOUs, but it will interest you to know that nurses for coming out to agitate at this particular time, after 40 years, we are not going to relent until we get it right. The highest timeline is 4 weeks. We're giving them 4 weeks, and we have already started counting.
Okay, so the deadline is 4 weeks. In 4 weeks, you say if the government doesn't fulfill what was agreed, then what? You're going to go back on the street to strike? Or what exactly are you going to do after 4 weeks?
If at the end of the 4 weeks, we are sure going to sit down and look at the issues, because within these 4 weeks, there will be deliberation going on between our national leaders and the government. And whatsoever they have agreed upon, they will definitely bring it back to us again. We'll look at it. And if we are not satisfied, of course, we'll issue another ultimatum.
By issuing another ultimatum, you mean you would go back on strike and leave patients in need of health care but not be able to deliver them?
Yeah, sure. It's so painful. It's very painful. And it is because of the compassion that we have for our patients that we never agitated. Sometimes when we sit down and look at them, and we look at the needs of our patients, and of course, every other person is vulnerable to fall sick. Even me that I'm talking to you, I am not exempted. But the situation warrants that the only language that I think government listens to is strikes. We have endured so much, and we have tried to show understanding, which is not really yielding anything positive.
So you said nurses have been compassionate for 40 years. So have nurses run out of compassion now? Is it to say that nurses don't really care what happens to the patients? I mean, you don't just run out of compassion, do you?
Yeah, you're right. You don't run out of compassion. It's still part of you. It's part of us, I mean, and we'll never run out of compassion. But we also have our needs to be taken care of, even as compassionate as we are. And if our social needs are not met, how best can you give your compassion? Your needs need to be met in such a way that you will be able to give 100% of what you need to give. Nurses will ever remain compassionate because that is the basic training that we have. And I think it's because of that, coming out to do this is just a way of telling government that, no, you have to also look at this other area. And it will interest you to know that it's all about, these are things that government can easily do. WHO is saying that you should earmark 13% of your annual budget to health. But I want to tell you that Nigerian government has never exceeded 5%. There was this Abuja declaration that they had, and they said 15% of annual budget should go to health. But I tell you, you can go and check. It's just this year that we are having a little bit above 5.18%, not even up to the benchmark of WHO, which is 13%. So these are things that, at least, even if they want to shortchange us from our own social needs, they should be able to shift this percentage to a reasonable level that we can also understand. Go to our hospitals and look at the facilities we are using. There are a lot of issues around. We don't have facilities.
Right. Thank you very much for laying that down. And Abiodun, you are our correspondent on the ground. You particularly covered the less than 1 week strike by nurses. As Joseph says, compassion didn't run out, but patience maybe ran out. And those days that nurses were not working, Abiodun, what did you register with your reporting? How much of an impact was that, on hospitals, healthcare infrastructure, and most importantly, patients?
Thank you, Eddie. Throughout the time the strike was on, I think what stood out for me particularly, when you look at the way the health systems, the structure, they work interconnectedly in such a way that one cannot function with optimum without the other. If doctors are not on duty, it will definitely affect the quality of care. Up down to the cleaners. If the cleaners are not on duty, it will also affect the quality of care. Same as the nurses. So when I was there, it's a really pathetic situation to say, because some nurses, some patients were not attended to. There were those that were discharged because the nurses were on strike. I met with a man in the oncology department, oncology ward, the cancer patient, and the dressing wound on this guy is already leaking, and there was no one to dress it up. So these are some of the issues that we see when we went out to look at what is happening. But when you look at it, healthcare workers across the country, between 2000 and 2020, health workers at various times have gone on strike for about 264 days. That's roughly 9 months that they have down there too. And this is not because I deliberately want to do that, but because of the pathetic situation that Nigerian health system is. When you look at the structure, the facilities, everything is down. So for them to go on strike this time around, it is a little bit of being feasible, of being heard by the government. So for the nurses, it's mostly about being heard, and for the patient that's at the hospital, some of them are without care. It reduces the quality of care that they were supposed to receive. Activities were completely disrupted because the the strike was complied with across the country. We were in Abuja, we were in Sokoto at the Usman Fodo Teaching Hospital here as well. So in this situation, there is no different story. It's all the same. So for throughout this time they were on strike, the quality of care reduced. There were no nurses to care for the doctor. Even in critical sectors like the ICU, there were limited nurses in those places. And the doctors, they were also complaining because there was no one to assist them. Doctors alone cannot do this. It's only nurses. That's what I said earlier, that the health system work interconnectedly. One cannot function properly up to its optimum without the other.
Right. What are Nigerians saying about all of this? First, how did they respond to the strike, and how are they responding to still the demands of nurses?
For real, many Nigerians, I would just say it, are used to a broken system, to say the least, because I mean, power is epileptic, water is non-existent, the education is nothing to write them about, and healthcare is not different. So, when health workers went on strike, there is often a sense of frustrated acceptance, because I mean, there's nothing they could do about it, but at the same time, they understand the situation that the health systems, they understand the situation that the nurses are. So people don't like it, but they've come to expect it. In Abuja that we visited, reactions were mixed. Some were angry that they were not attended to. They were left. I think I met with a woman at the trauma center, and she got to the hospital around 9 p.m. the previous day. Till around 3 p.m. that I was with her. She was not attended to. There was no one to attend to, and she was in a trauma center. So they are angry about it, but there's nothing they can do about it. They have come to accept the fact that it's the way of the Nigerian system, but there's still a need to be better. So, but what really stood out, particularly looking at all of these areas, are the hopelessness among the people. It's just like I said, most people I spoke to didn't believe that the strike would change anything. I mean, we've had multiple strikes over and over again, and we are still having the same strike. So if anything will be done, we'll not even be having this conversation, because almost all of this issue will have been dealt with. So it's a bit of hopelessness with people, and they don't really expect that the strike will change anything.
Right. I mean, is there any sign from the government, anything that suggests that they are going to be serious about tackling the issues this time around compared to other times? Or as you say, is it really the sense that nothing will change?
So far, it's looking like another temporary solution. With the way they rushed into agreements with the nurses, because we were having this conversation. I was like, oh, if they knew that they were going to call the nurses into the table, why wait for the 15-day ultimatum to elapse before they take actions? So far, it's looking like temporary solution. They made verbal commitment, they do understand the memorandum of understanding, but they do really obey this thing, promising to clear salary backlogs. There's also the medical doctors association there. There's the resident doctors issues. There's Joe Akpi, there's medical lab scientists. Now we have the nurses. So far, it's looked like a band-aid for me. Like it's more like an opportunity to just bandage the wound and see how it goes before the next strike comes in.
Right. So I mean, Abiodun, just while I'm trying to wrap this up, what does this then mean for the future of healthcare and health workers in Nigeria? Because as you say, if it's all just temporal solutions and long-term, nothing much changes, where does the future lie?
Eddy, most nurses, even health workers, are not hopeful. They are tired. To be very honest with you, there's a growing anxiety about the future of the profession. I mean, we have a mass brain drain, a lot of people looking out to jackpot, to leave the country for greener pasture. So for many of them, they are tired. Some say they have spent their whole career watching the same problem repeat over and over again. So many have even stopped being hopeful, expecting the system to change. So they do their job mostly because they can. So, but they don't really trust in the government to do anything to change or bear their magic wand and change everything overnight. So and the implication of this is that we are going to lose most of our experienced and committed health workers, not just to migration alone, but to burnout and resignation.
Right. Thank you, Abiodun. Coming to you, Joseph, with your final words. I mean, it doesn't seem like there's optimism that the government is going to deal with this. You're talking about the WHO suggesting that at least 13% of the budget should be dedicated to health. That's not happened in years, right? And so is that fair to say that sooner rather than later, especially after the 4 weeks deadline, that nurses are just going to have to go back on the street? And how serious will the government take it if the strike lasts for what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month? Could Nigeria afford that? What's the way forward with you?
The issue there is that we are optimistic that government will hearken to our needs this time around. When you go to war and you present, or when you go for negotiation and you present items, if they are about like 10, and if you are able to get about 60% of that, I think that would be reasonable enough. So there are some issues that will require long-term planning, like the review of the allowances. That will take a little time, which we know. But there are some basic ones, like the gazetting, and then obeying that court rule, and also creating a pool where graduate nurses can be taken and be distributed to various hospitals to do their internship, and then recruiting more nurses, more hands to be in the system. These are issues that they can easily do. They are not items that need to be delayed. So we believe that if they are able to do some of these ones, at least it will down the tension. I tell you, there is burnout syndrome among our workers, among our people that are working. We have a lot of nurses in the market. We have a lot of nurses in the country. Forget about those that have already japa. Yes, the experienced ones have gone, but we still have a lot of people that have graduated from school and they are wallowing in the streets. No job. Government should employ these ones. And then you have those ones that are working. How many, with the ratio we have? At the end, sometimes you see a nurse to about 30 patients in a ward. How can that person give out its best? So these are issues that they can easily do. Government can easily do. What will it take them to employ people to come and work? We have said it before, that government should declare state of emergency for health, most especially when it comes to employment of nurses. So these are issues that they can handle.
Okay, thank you very much. Joseph Akpi, Chairman, National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives at the National Hospital Chapter. Also, Abiodun Jamiu, DW correspondent in Nigeria. Thanks to the both of you. We'll have to wait and see how things develop. For now, there's an agreement. The strike is over. And hopefully the next time that we talk, it will be highlighting the positive moves that the government has made.
Get the stories that are shaping the continent here on Africa Link.
The Union of Nurses stressed that their demands were not for luxury, but for basic dignity and fairness, highlighting the universal risks faced by both healthcare workers and patients due to the crisis in the sector. It's a problem across the continent. Countries like Kenya, Malawi, and Ghana have seen repeated labor actions, often over pay, staffing, and bad working conditions. Civil society groups and health unions continue to advocate for comprehensive solutions, including infrastructure upgrades and institutional changes. Your perspective on this is crucial. So what do you think? Share your thoughts with us on our Facebook page, DW Africa. Listen to us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast from. And hey, don't forget to click follow and subscribe to our DW Africa YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. This show was co-produced and edited by Isaac Mugabe. And I am Eddy Micah Jr. Thanks for listening.
DW, made for minds.